So here I am just adding different colors that I see when I look at the photo that I took at Brooker Creek, reflections in the water. There's all these beautiful colors shining from the sky, from the wood around this little pond, from the plants and the trees inside the pond, and the trees that are way up above, and the skylight shining through. So I continue to add color that I think are pleasing. So it's a little bit on the abstract side. It's not an exact rendition of this photo, and I don't really want it to be because it will not be fun if I do that. You could go back and look at this spot today and it will look nothing like it did that day. So it doesn't matter if it's an exact replica. So here we are with just a little inspiration to get going with our little painting, which is going to be a botanical. So this looks a little like a conundrum right now, but basically I have placed my leaves where I think they should be in this picture. I can go back and do my background some more if I want. My leaves are placed with white so I can see where they're at. I do not know if there's going to be enough difference between the color of these leaves and the background, but I guess we will figure that out as we go along. So right now it's just sketched in. So I'm doing some very subtle little changes here. I've used some palette knife here for thickness and dimension. Okay, now, for instance, this leaf is a little different. Darker here, down the middle. So I just continue shaping leaves, trying to find pleasing shapes similar to the ones in the photo, but not necessarily exactly the same. Sometimes I'm placing a leaf where it isn't in the photo because it suits my painting better this way. Now that this is partially dry here, I can go in and put a little more blue on top. I let this dry overnight. I don't want these things in the background to be too evident, so I'm putting them in almost in a blurry way so that you see there's leaves back there. But they're not supposed to be shining up front. They're back there. And there's colors here and there for which there's no real explanation. We don't need one for everything. Again, leaves in the background and reflections in the background. I have tried to kind of smooth out a little bit. A mop brush helps with this to kind of make them look a little blurry so that they are not in the forefront of the painting. It's very difficult to get these leaves to stand out when there's so much activity and movement in the back of the painting. So the best way is to flatten that out and then to lay on the leaves very thickly. I put a little color here and there on the leaves because they're not perfect. I want to show some tarnished leaves and some that have more yellow, some more green, some more purple. Marks on the leaves. A little damaged area right here. This is wet, so just tap it on. Then we have an area here that needs to come in. To make the shape at the back of this leaf. And then you can reinforce it again with some lighter. That's good. I don't need these things to be perfect. I'm just trying to get a three-dimensional look here. The example, this right here, is actually an old leaf, and it has this light running right through it, and an old stem. So that's how you make that look like that. Now these under here, you don't really know what that is, but it's actually leaves under the water. There's a couple of them that are sitting on top of the water. And you'll catch an edge. A little edge here and there. Nobody knows for sure why. Some of them are underwater in the tip, but then the other part is up above the water. So that's a little burnt sienna and white. Bringing some of it into focus, but not all of it. Couple over here where some things are literally sticking out. They're old leaves. This has a little more color right here. It's just something that happens to be sitting there. No one cares what it is. It's a leaf, if I really look closely. There are some very pretty brown grasses. And they're kind of hard to do, as thin as I like them to be. They sort of disappear under the water in places. I'm holding this brush very lightly. You can tap if you want here and there. And make some detritus marks that you don't have to exactly explain what they all are. Here. Then these are underwater, but you can sort of see them reflecting. I keep turning my brush. So I may have to get out my little brush. I don't want that much detail, but I am trying to, there we go, get a certain look here. There we go. And right here. Okay, good. Very good. Very good. Right here I want a flower. And the flower is a funny little thing. It's like a light, a light, a light, a light. Add the tiniest little bit of blue into that. It's not really showing up. A little bit more. There we go. Go with the blue, blue, blue. Okay, good. Then hit it with some white here and there. Gives it some dimension. Maybe a few darker spots. So if you put a little dark on one side and a little light on the other side and medium in the middle, you will make those stems and twigs look round. It gives them dimension. Tapping helps to get things off the brush. I want this to show up more. Right there. It's like a pod of some kind. I got it, but I didn't like the shape. That's better. Okay. You can take your put little spots in there because we don't know what everything is. All these funny little things could be anything. I'll be darkening up a little bit of the base of this plant and the background on the left-hand side. You don't want to overdo it, but you know, this is not really standing out as all that bright. It's kind of a muted painting. Okay, let's see how this came. It's kind of impressionistic, a little expressionistic, just a fun painting. Something that gives me the feeling of what I was looking at out there at Brooker Creek when I looked into the beautiful pond with the lily pads and the green, I don't know what kind of plants these are, some kind of pond grasses with their beautiful lilac flowers. So here we go. This is my final. Okay guys, this has morphed into quite the painting. I guess it's a little bit surreal looking, but the more I played with it, the more I wanted to continue to play with it. So I started out wanting to do a small plant with some reflections in the background, and I ended up doing a pretty big plant because I decided as I was working, I wanted this to look almost three-dimensional. So in order to achieve that, I have to have these light, chunky pieces here. Big, chunky, thick paint, and underneath it some dark to show the dimension. When you step back, you look at it and it kind of comes off the page, I hope, with a big, beautiful lilac flower and some reflections in the water in the background. Hopefully it looks a little bit like some reflections that might occur in a pond. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And you can meet me here in the same place for the next one, and we'll have another adventure together. Okay? Thanks for joining me. I'll come in close so you can see. Just very expressionistic. Again, you always want to look at a painting from 6 feet back, but just so that you can see the fun marks. This one you have to just be bold. Be bold and be brave. And have some fun with it. Some of these marks are just marks. They might simulate plants. They may simulate reflections. Hopefully. So, that's what it looks like. Okay. See y'all on the next one. Thank you.